Hi, Mystery Writers. Welcome to the Mystery Writers Studio. I'm Zara Altair, and today I wanted to talk about your protagonist tools. I, um, okay, I gotta tell you a little story. Long ago in high school, um, I was reading Latin, and soon after the beginning, we got to the labors of Hercules. And one of the things that struck me was that whatever labor task Hercules had to do, had to perform, he had the exact right tool with him for the job. So it was a ladder, ropes, or shovels, or whatever it was he had there. And it was like, oh man, this guy was walking around with all this stuff. And so we had to do a little suspension of disbelief to get with Hercules having all those tools with him. But the point the point of that little story is that you want to make your detective, your sleuth, their tools fit with who they are and the task at hand. So as mystery writers, you want our sleuth to accomplish their tasks because we want them to get to solve the puzzle, right? And but we also want our characters to feel realistic and not bopping around in a mythological realm on foot, carrying yards of rope, a ladder, and a shovel while traveling miles at the same time. So we don't want our readers to feel that the tools that our character uses or that the character has with them are unrealistic. We want them to for the tools to appear natural and to fit with the character as well. Um, because the tools actually reflect your sleuth personality. And of course, I love creating character background and character Bible for my stories. And so, tools are one of the things you can plunk right in there so that you, as the author, can pull them out at the right time when your sleuth needs them. And you want to know that, and also, how can I say this? You don't want the tools to feel deus ex machina. All of a sudden, your character has the exact right tool they need for this particular situation. So it helps to set up the tools that your character uses before they actually need to use them. I know in my current work in progress, my detective opens the trunk of her vehicle and checks inside to see that everything is there. And I have a list of some of the things that are back there. She's got lots of stuff back there. Detectives carry a lot of things with them. And one of the things in the trunk of her vehicle won't be used until the very end of the story. But it's like Chekhov's gun. You want to know that if it's there at some point in the story, it's going to be used. So I don't know. I feel like I'm getting off track with this, but it the whole idea of this is make sure your character has the right tools for the jobs, for the things they're going to need to do in the story, and two, that they fit their character personality, um, because that makes a difference. So if your character is a law enforcement officer like mine in this current story I'm working on, then they're going to need a lot of actual tools. And also, just as another example with that character, she has a lot, she's a modern detective, she has a lot of tools like a radio and a computer and a mobile phone. And when the electricity goes out and the cell tower goes down in this giant storm, she is unable to communicate with anybody. Um, and so setting up that loss of her tools helps if we know that she has them beforehand. All right. So a modern day sleuth can travel by train, by car, or by any kind of vehicle, but much of their travel isn't going to be on foot. Plus, if they have their own vehicle, they can load tools in the trunk or the rear seat or even the passenger seat, right? But still, the tools your detective uses will depend on their personality. So, just like the original TV character MacGyver always had duct tape, your detective will rely on a tool that fits your personality. Uh, um, seamstress, cozy protagonist might have a tape measure around her neck. I'm just using that as an example, and it may come in handy later on in her investigations. Or a clever teenage sleuth may have a trusty canine companion who, with lassie like understanding, knows what to do in a tough spot. So, if your sleuth is a law enforcement detective, they'll just have all kinds of stuff. And handgun, magazines, a radio, a department mobile phone, a department camera, a voice recorder for witness interviews, handcuffs, handcuff keys, all these things um, that they just naturally have with them at any given time. And those are just the basics. And the trunk of their vehicle, as I mentioned before, has um, a number of other items as well. So you want to give your readers um, clues to what your detective actually has on hand. Uh, because you want your sleuth to be relatable, because as a protagonist, they're actually leading the reader through the story. And and for your reader to relate to your sleuth, every aspect of them, including their tools, uh, needs to feel real. Uh, Otherwise, they'll be wondering, as I did long ago about Hercules, how they just happened to have the right tool at the moment of truth to resolve a conflict. You don't want your reader wondering about the fictional truth of your story, because if they do, this is one of those stopping points. And if your reader stops in the story to wonder how your detective had that tool on hand, they may never pick up your story again. So don't just make it a seamless inclusion in your story. Um, our work as a mystery writer is to create a genre story that pulls the reader into the story from the beginning and keeps them reading till the mystery is solved. Uh, Every craft skill we muster helps the reader get and stay involved in our story. And so tools of your detective are just one of the ways that we can do that. And so the tools you give your sleuth need to match their skill set and their personality. And that way, the tool is believable, which makes your character more relatable. Right? Um, so I think that's essentially all I wanted to say about that. If you have any questions about tools or how they fit in, um, is just uh, put them in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer them, because our craft is to create a believable story with a believable character, and along with that character, they're useful and believable tools. All right, thank you so much. I will see you next week. And for writers who are in the United States, Celebrate your freedoms tomorrow on the 4th of July.